to another edition of Goodness from the Goddess. Let me tell you, I'm so excited to be in Goddess Radio today. You are listening to the voice of Kenya Pope, affectionately called the Goddess Builder, for Goddess coaches, for Goddess authors, Goddess speakers, all Goddess soul entrepreneurs who are intent on making a difference while they earn a commission. Somebody holler at that. Yeah, somebody holler at that one. So, today we're gonna go into our message. It's just a brief, dose of honey for your hump day. And I'm excited to do this for you. We started Mondays through Fridays, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that you can get what you need to start your day, And what's so important about this is most of you who are listening, if you're a soul-centered entrepreneur, you have not really broken your internal glass ceilings. So what that means for most of you is that you're probably still working a 9 to 5, or, depending on someone else's income in order to support you, because you haven't, honey, I know, you haven't learned how to manifest abundance by giving up your gifts. And listen, no judgment, because the fact that you haven't learned doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that there's more for you to grow. There's a place for you to grow. So, as a way of an introduction, I'm an International Coaches Federation trained coach, which is the highest distinction in the coaching industry in terms of personal development and lifestyle development. I'm also the founder of Goodness from the Goddess, which is a spiritual lifestyle development company. So we do online classes, we do virtual courses, we do live trainings. We also publish materials in terms of books, workbooks, t-shirts, things that are going to be integral for you, really to integrate these life lessons so that you can activate abundance for yourself. And I have really just committed myself to this work of women. And of course, the brothers who love us, the rising gods who understand that it's also their time to make a difference while earning a commission. And understanding that my voice really speaks to the feminine principle, the feminine presence, femininity in general, And so brothers who understand that and respect that, I welcome you into our sacred space, and I honor you for acknowledging who you are and that part of you has this balance inside of you. Your relationships should be very rich because you're here. So I thank you for being here. And in terms of today, I really want to build you up with about 10 minutes or less of amazing content so you can go back to your day with a new sense of focus and purpose. Because really and truly, you want to bridge yourself from depending on other people for your income or working a 9 to 5 for your income into total self-sustaining stability in your own gifts. Right? So I kind of want you to start by writing this down. I declare total self-sustaining stability in my gifts, right? Total self-sustaining stability in my gifts. In one of the last classes, we really talked about the word and the power of your word. And so when you make a declaration like that, your back tends to straighten up, right? You tend to have a different arch, a different flow. And so today, really what we're going to be talking about, because it is a hump day, it's a Wednesday, we're going to be talking about manifestation. And overall, I come with education and practical tools for you to learn how to manifest and use the power of spirituality and prayer and ritual in order to create richness in your life and in your business, especially for your clients. And what has happened for me is, in wanting to be a better teacher and wanting to be a better guide, I've observed how my clients move through my programs. What are their highest highs, and then what are their challenges in between? And what that helped me to realize is that there's actually a system of manifestation. Some of us have been taught that, or we have this assumption, that manifestation is this mystical thing that happens sometimes. And when it does happen, it's great. But then on the other times, on the stuff that really matters, honey, we don't really see manifestation. So I have people come to me and they say, oh, well, I'm a great manifester in this area of my life, but it's not happening over here. And so I like for people to really take a picture, take the case that your whole life has 4 quadrants in it, right? And these 4 quadrants are what we live in on a regular basis. We sit in these 4. And so one of them is our lifestyle, which is based on the finances of the income that comes into us. For some of us, like I said, that can be a 9 to 5. For some of us, that can be investments. For some of us, that can be real estate. For some of us, that can be contracts in our business, right? And moving from that, that's 1/4 of the equation. Moving over into the second quadrant, we also have a relationship piece, which allows us the experience of other human beings. And that can be loved ones that we live with, that we've grown up with, that we've committed our lives to, or our neighbors, our coworkers, supervisors, our friends. How are we relating to people in general? Do we have richness in those relationships? The third quadrant really speaks about our awareness of who we are. We have a body that is housed on 5 dimensions. I'll talk a little bit more about that in another session. But really, you want to talk about, when you think about your relationship to your body, to you want to think about yourself as a multidimensional being, right? So that means taking care of your mind. Mental health is real. It is very, very important as a sole business owner. It is extremely important. Emotional health as well as your physical health, so eating well, resting well, exercising, doing the things that really invigorate you. Maybe it's art, maybe it's dance, maybe it's movement, maybe it's listening to music. All of those things really play a part into that quadrant. And the fourth quadrant of your life is really, how are you seeing yourself in connection to the greatest, highest good, the greatest self, the universal creative power source of the universe that allows goodness to flow to all of us, right? So what is your relationship like? Not a religious conversation, but do you see yourself making time on a regular basis for that relationship, for cultivating that, for learning more about yourself within that realm? So when you look at all of these pieces, you start to see that you want to imagine that all of those are the top of a stool, your stool. And each of the 4 quadrants grow legs. So if someone is saying, I can manifest really well in this one quadrant, you want to imagine that leg to be very, very tall, right? And then if they're saying that they're not manifesting well in other quadrants, you want to imagine those other quadrants to be pretty short, right? Underdeveloped. And so when you think as a goddess or a rising god, when you think about sitting on your throne, right? Take an inventory for just a second. If you had to rate each one of these quadrants on a scale from 0 to 5, right? Where 5 is the highest. And 5 means that you're kicking butt, that where you are is really what you want to see. It's the way you've envisioned it. And 0 means you have not addressed it at all. There are things that you're avoiding, ignoring, or really abdicating. So what's important in this instance is really to just take a self-check. It's almost like going to the doctor for a checkup, right? When you go to the doctor for a checkup, you kind of circle off, where is your pain level? So what's your pain level in each one of these areas? So as I'm talking about this, I just kind of want you to write down a number for each one of these quadrants. Is it a 1? Is it a 4? Is it a 3? Is it a 0? Are you rocking out with a 5 or is it a 2? And so remember, the quadrants are your finances, which fund your lifestyle, your relationships, your richness in interacting with other people, your self-concept in the way that you take care of the different dimensions of you, and your connection with the highest, greatest self, and the time that you've allotted on a regular basis to grow in that area. So those are the 4 areas: money, people, you, and the higher self. I want you to just write down a number, whatever your soul tells you. No one's going to post your paper on Instagram, right? So your number can be 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 0. Wherever you see that you currently are. And we take a deep breath in and just meditate, just focus on those numbers. And those numbers really are letting you know where you are. It's just a check-in. So if you have a number 2 in an area, right, when we go back to sit on our throne, I want you to imagine that leg of the stool is 2 feet. Number 2, 2 feet, right? If you have a number 5, I want you to imagine that leg of the stool is 5 feet. If you have a number 4, I want you to imagine that stool leg is 4 feet. If you have a 0, then there is no leg, right? That leg is broken off completely, or it hasn't been put on. So the idea here is to imagine yourself sitting on your throne of abundance. Because that's what that stool really codifies. It's your particular throne of abundance. And I talk a lot about this in my upcoming book, Lessons to Abundance. So when you're trying to sit down on a stool, most of us on the line, we've sat on a bar stool before. You really want to make sure, especially for me, I'm a goddess with a goddess bottom. Okay. So when I'm trying to sit down, when I'm focusing on sitting down, I want to make sure that this thing is going to support me, because I'm not about to fall on the floor. That's not really my intention. I really want to sit. So you want to think about how to balance yourself, on this 2 feet, 5, 3 feet, 0, 1, 4, whatever your numbers are. And imagine what it would be like to actually sit on it. Right? Some of you might be laughing like, wow, how can I sit on this thing? It's a little rickety. It's a little wobbly. So it doesn't mean that you're going to fall just because you're sitting on an uneven stool. But I'll tell you one thing. It takes a whole lot of work. It takes a whole lot of focus for you to make sure that you're not going to fall. So you're squeezing your abs together. You're squeezing your glutes together. And you're not really enjoying your seat and looking around and watching the flowers and the daisies and the butterflies of your life. You just concentrating all the time on keeping the balance, all the time on keeping the balance. So my lesson for you today in manifesting in your life and in your business especially is building a bold business requires building balance. Not at the end, but in the beginning, right? And some of you need to write that down. Building a bold business, building a big business requires bold balance. Right? And not at the end, at the beginning. So there's a lot of B's in there. Building a big business requires building bold balance at the beginning. Yes. So now, if you actually evened out